Invasion of Poland. The war begins 1939. Europe on the edge of collapse. In the summer of 1939, Europe stood on the brink of catastrophe. 2 decades earlier, the guns of the First World War had fallen silent, but the peace that followed was fragile and deeply flawed. The Treaty of Versailles reshaped borders, punished Germany, and attempted to prevent another global conflict. Instead, it planted the seeds of resentment, instability, and revenge. In Germany, economic hardship and national humiliation created fertile ground for extremist ideologies. Out of this turmoil rose Adolf Hitler, leader of the Nazi Party, who promised to restore German pride, rebuild the military, and overturn the post-war settlement. By 1933, Hitler had become chancellor. Within years, he dismantled democracy and established a totalitarian regime. Across Europe, aggressive expansion followed. In 1936, German troops marched into the Rhineland. In 1938, Austria was annexed. Later that year, the Sudetenland was taken from Czechoslovakia after the Munich Agreement, where Britain and France pursued a policy of appeasement, hoping to avoid another devastating war. But Hitler's ambitions did not stop. His next target was Poland. The strategic importance of Poland. Poland occupied a critical position in Central Europe. After World War I, it regained independence and was granted access to the Baltic Sea through the so-called Polish Corridor, which separated East Prussia from the rest of Germany. The city of Danzig, largely populated by ethnic Germans, became a focal point of tension. Hitler demanded the return of Danzig and the construction of an extraterritorial highway and railway across Polish territory. Poland refused. Backed by guarantees from Britain and France, Polish leaders believed that Germany would not risk a general European war. But Hitler had already decided. The pact that shocked the world. On August 23, 1939, the world was stunned by the signing of the Molotov, Ribbentrop Pact between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Though ideologically opposed, the two powers agreed to a non-aggression pact. Secret protocols divided Eastern Europe into spheres of influence. Poland was to be partitioned. For Hitler, this agreement ensured that Germany would not face a two-front war, as it had in World War I. For Joseph Stalin, it was an opportunity to expand Soviet territory and buy time to strengthen his military. The path to invasion was now clear. The staged provocation. To justify aggression, Nazi propaganda needed a pretext. On August 31, 1939, German operatives staged a false flag attack on a German radio station near the Polish border. This incident, known as the Gleiwitz Incident, was presented as Polish aggression against Germany. The following morning, Hitler addressed the Reichstag, declaring that Poland had attacked German territory. He claimed Germany was acting in self-defense. At dawn on September 1, 1939, German forces crossed the Polish frontier. World War II had begun. Blitzkrieg, a new kind of warfare. The invasion of Poland marked the first large-scale demonstration of Blitzkrieg, or lightning war. This revolutionary strategy combined rapid armored assaults, coordinated infantry movements, and overwhelming air support. German forces attacked from 3 directions: from the north in East Prussia, from the west across the German border, and from the south through Slovakia. Over 1.5 million German soldiers were mobilized. The Luftwaffe bombed airfields, railways, and cities, seeking to paralyze Polish communication and supply lines. Polish aircraft were destroyed on the ground. Major cities, including Warsaw, were subjected to relentless air raids. Panzer divisions spearheaded the advance, bypassing strong defensive positions and encircling Polish units. Speed and surprise were the keys to success. The Polish defense. Poland was not unprepared, but its strategy was based on defending its borders. The Polish army mobilized approximately 1 million troops, but many were poorly equipped compared to their German counterparts. Contrary to popular myth, Polish cavalry did not charge tanks with sabers. Cavalry units were mobile infantry forces, often fighting dismounted. However, they were no match for the mechanized might of the Wehrmacht. Despite fierce resistance in battles such as the Battle of the Bieszura, Polish forces were gradually overwhelmed. Communications broke down, and units became isolated. Poland fought bravely, but it fought alone. Britain and France declare war. On September 3, 1939, Britain and France issued ultimatums demanding German withdrawal from Poland. When Hitler ignored them, both nations declared war on Germany. However, their declarations did not bring immediate relief to Poland. The Western Allies launched only limited military actions during what became known as the Phony War. No major offensive was mounted against Germany in the West. Poland stood isolated against two powerful aggressors. The Soviet invasion. On September 17, 1939, as Polish forces struggled against the German advance, the Soviet Union invaded from the east. Acting under the secret terms of the Molotov, Ribbentrop Pact, Soviet troops crossed the border, claiming to protect Ukrainian and Belarusian minorities. The Polish government, facing collapse, ordered troops not to engage Soviet forces where possible and began evacuating toward Romania. Caught between two totalitarian powers, Poland's fate was sealed. The fall of Warsaw. Warsaw endured weeks of bombardment and siege. Civilians suffered heavily as food and water supplies dwindled. Hospitals overflowed with wounded. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble. On September 27, 1939, Warsaw surrendered. Organized resistance ended in early October. Poland was partitioned between Germany and the Soviet Union. The campaign had lasted just over a month. But the consequences would echo for decades. Occupation and terror. The German occupation of Western Poland was brutal. Territories were annexed directly into the Reich, while Central Poland became the general government under Nazi administration. Polish intellectuals, clergy, and political leaders were targeted in systematic campaigns of repression. Jewish communities faced immediate persecution that would later culminate in the horrors of the Holocaust. Meanwhile, in the East, Soviet authorities deported hundreds of thousands of Poles to Siberia and Central Asia. Thousands of Polish officers were executed in what would later be revealed as the Katyn Massacre. Poland ceased to exist as an independent state. The global impact. The invasion of Poland transformed a regional crisis into a global war. Within months, Germany would conquer Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. Britain would stand alone during the Battle of Britain. Eventually, the Soviet Union and the United States would join the conflict, turning it into the largest and deadliest war in human history. All of it began in Poland. Military lessons. The Polish campaign demonstrated the effectiveness of Blitzkrieg tactics. Speed, coordination, and air superiority proved decisive. Traditional defensive strategies were inadequate against mechanized warfare. European military planners took note. The rapid fall of Poland foreshadowed the swift German victories in Western Europe in 1940. However, it also revealed weaknesses. German supply lines were stretched, and logistical challenges became evident, issues that would later plague operations in the Soviet Union. The Polish resistance. Though defeated militarily, Poland did not surrender spiritually. A government in exile was established in London. Polish forces regrouped abroad and would later fight alongside the Allies in France, Britain, North Africa, and Italy. Inside occupied Poland, one of the largest resistance movements in Europe emerged. Underground networks conducted sabotage, intelligence gathering, and clandestine education. Poland's struggle continued throughout the war. Human cost. The 1939 campaign resulted in tens of thousands of military casualties and significant civilian deaths.